Welcome to my channel. Earlier, in part 1 of What If Beru Rebelled Against the Monarch, we witnessed Beru's awakening conscience, secret alliances forming in the shadows, and the fierce rebellion igniting against the monarch's iron grip. His defiance sent shockwaves through the realm, challenging the unyielding darkness of tyranny. Now, in part 2, we dive deeper into exile and survival, where Beru gathers his scattered allies and prepares for war. Brace yourself for intense battles, cunning strategies, and the pulse-pounding struggle for freedom amid overwhelming danger. Let's dive in together, into the heart of the Shadow Realm's uprising. A harsh wind swept over the fractured wilds beyond the monarch's domain. Beru, once the feared Ant King and now an exile cast out for daring to defy his sovereign, stood amid ruins older than memory itself. The world here writhed with ancient, chaotic magic, unpredictable and lethal. Each step Beru took tested his resolve. Craggy cliffs echoed with the haunting screams of corrupted beasts, twisted abominations spawned from rifts in the very fabric of reality. Shadows he once commanded now lurked as unknown threats in this alien wilderness. Yet, amidst the danger lurked opportunity. Buried deep within tangled forests and forgotten temples, Beru uncovered relics and scrolls revealing the lost wisdom of ancient monarchs, rulers who balanced merciless power with justice and mercy. The revelations struck him with the force of a thunderclap. Monarchic power was not just conquest, it was responsibility, harmony, a fragile dance between dominion and freedom. This knowledge steeled his heart anew. Survival was no longer a mere instinct, it was his oath. Beru called to the shadows and monsters who had escaped the monarch's ruthless expansion, outcasts hungry for a chance at dignity. Alongside disillusioned hunters tired of endless bloodshed, these misfits coalesced under Beru's banner, forming a fragile but growing coalition. One early encounter vividly tested their mettle. In the shadowy foothills, Beru's group was ambushed by monstrous entities spawned from corrupted rifts, hulking beasts with eyes blazing green, claws gouging the earth, and bodies armored in malignant stone. The battle roared to life. Beru wielded his frost-infused blade with deadly grace, each strike shattering monstrous defenses. Shadow warriors danced through the fray, melting into the darkness then bursting forth with lethal precision. Hunters with keen eyes released volleys of enchanted arrows, piercing vital gaps. The clash was brutal. Earth shook beneath roaring beasts, magical energies flared in dazzling bursts, and comrades fell only to rise again with iron resolve. The night air thickened with the scent of ozone and blood, every heartbeat a drum summoning survival. Though battered, Beru's forces claimed victory, their spirits kindled with fierce pride. This was but one trial in a ruthless wilderness, but one that beckoned with the promise of a new dawn. As dawn's pale light stretched over the cursed wilds, Beru gazed eastward, not just toward home, but toward a future forged in struggle, wisdom, and unity. Beru's exile had become a crucible, forging a bond between the broken and the desperate, a coalition unlike any the Shadow Realm had ever seen. Scattered communities of monsters, displaced shadows, and hunters who had lost faith in the monarch's cruelty now answered a singular call. A fight for freedom. Gathered within a cavern concealed beneath an ancient mountain, their numbers grew steadily. The air crackled with anticipation and silent determination. Amidst flickering torchlight, leaders of each faction, scarred but unbowed, listened intently as Beru laid out his vision. We have nothing left but the strength of our will and the trust of each other. We must strike not as scattered prey, but as a united force, a storm that cannot be divided or broken. From that moment, their days filled with grueling training and relentless planning. Beru oversaw rigorous drills that melded the unique strengths of monsters, shadows, and hunters, forging new fighting styles suited to guerrilla warfare against a powerful, entrenched foe. When the monarch's scouts made their move, the response was swift and brutal. Along the jagged cliffs of the Blackshard Ridge, Beru's coalition launched an ambush, shattering an entire battalion of elite shadow enforcers. The battle was violent, fierce, a deadly dance of light and dark. Shadow warriors melted into the rocky crags, appearing suddenly to strike with blades glinting like shards of night. Hunters commanded enchanted crossbows, firing volleys that pierced through armored plates. Monstrous allies charged with ferocious roars, tearing through enemy lines. The Monarch's forces, despite their superior numbers and ancient magic, found themselves unprepared for the guerrilla tactics and unyielding spirit of the rebels. Every clash left them bloodied, their resolve tested. Yet victory was never won without sacrifice. Beru witnessed the fall of bravest among his ranks, the cry of loss hanging harsh and raw in the wild air. The cost of freedom was measured not just in slain enemies, but in fallen friends. Beyond the battlefield, spies and informants wove webs of deceit, secretly relaying vital intelligence. The coalition's bonds deepened, built on trust, camaraderie, and the terrible urgency of survival. As night fell over the ridge, the glow of burning campfires etched silhouettes of weary but unbroken warriors. Beru stood surrounded by his closest allies, their faces lit by flickering flame and fierce hope. Our war has only begun. The Monarch's shadow looms large, but we hold the spark of revolution. Together, we will burn away the darkness. The winds of the Shadow Realm began to howl with a deeper, darker edge. The Monarch's wrath was swift and merciless. Legions reinforced with crimson-armored commanders and monstrous void beasts swept across the Forsaken Wilds. But Beru's coalition was no longer a fragile assembly of outcasts. They had grown in strength, strategy, and resolve, prepared to meet the storm head-on. Through hidden valleys and jagged ridges, their forces maneuvered like shadows themselves, swift, silent, and deadly. One fierce battle near the Forsaken Hollow became a testament to their evolution. Here, under a sky clawed by thunder and laced with eerie glows, Beru's forces awaited the Monarch's advance. As the enemy breached the valley's entrance, a roar echoed. A monstrous void beast, a living fortress of chitin and corruption, led the charge. Its pulsating limbs tore the earth, and eyes ablaze with furious green fire swept the battlefield. The clash erupted in a storm of steel, magic, and raw power. Beru struck like frost incarnate, his blade carving icy paths through the beast's armored hide. Shadow warriors wove deadly patterns, striking at vulnerable tendrils, while hunters unleashed volleys of enchanted arrows, each thudding with explosive impact. The battle surged unpredictably, with tides turning on cunning tactics and bursts of sheer will. The void beast's wrath decimated legions but faltered against united resistance. Amidst chaos, Beru's voice rose, calling for coordinated strikes, guiding his forces with practiced precision. The coalition struck the beast's weak points with relentless fury until it collapsed into a shuddering ruin. Yet, victory was tempered by harsh reality. The Monarch's forces regrouped relentlessly, launching counterattacks to reclaim lost ground. Dark rituals summoned spectral horror that haunted the night and fractured the rebels' resolve. The revolution's path was littered with sacrifice and hardship, but with every battle won, Beru's vision of a free Shadow Realm grew clearer. Beyond the battlefield, spies whispered of the Monarch's desperation and his plans to summon an ancient, cosmic power, an unimaginable force that could erase entire armies and crush hope. As alliance leaders convened beneath whispered canopies, resolve stiffened. We will face darkness, Beru vowed, not as shadows fleeing light, but as the storm that breaks the night. The chapter closes as distant omens signal an even greater cataclysm approaching, a test that will push Beru and his allies to the edges of loyalty, sacrifice, and destiny. The air grew chill and heavy, thick with unnatural energy as the Monarch's desperation reached a fever pitch. Hidden deep within the fractured realm, in a place older than time, the Monarch began the dark ritual, calling upon an ancient cosmic power long sealed away. The ground cracked open in jagged veins, shimmering with eldritch light, while swirling rifts tore at the fabric of reality. From the abyss, a monstrous silhouette emerged, immense and terrifying, a primordial force of uncreation and annihilation, alien to mortal comprehension. This cosmic entity radiated raw destruction, its eyes burned with ancient knowledge and endless hunger. Wherever it moved, stars dimmed and shadows twisted in agony. Beru and his allies learned quickly that they were no longer fighting mere armies, they faced the awakening of a power beyond reckoning. The rebellion's leaders convened urgently, forging fragile strategies against the impossible. Beru's voice rang with urgency and resolve. We face a force that could unravel the very foundations of our world. We must face it united, with every shred of strength, every drop of courage. The first battle against the cosmic forces was cataclysmic. The night skies erupted into torrents of fire and shadow, spells clashed with cosmic energy, and the land shattered beneath the titanic struggle. Rebel forces split between defending vital sanctuaries and striking at the monstrous emissaries that prowled the borders of the rift. Beru led a strike team into the heart of the chaos, wielding his frost powers to shield allies from the searing void energies and cutting swaths through titanic foes. The air was thick with tension, each moment a race between life and oblivion. Allies fell, some consumed by void corruption, others sacrificed to hold the line. But Beru's leadership, tactical genius, and offensive fury forged moments of victory, brief but shining beacons of hope amidst cosmic devastation. As the battle raged, the Monarch's true plan surfaced. The cosmic force was a double-edged sword. It could consume enemies but demanded a horrific price, control of the Monarch's very soul and realm. Beru understood that defeating this threat meant more than battlefield prowess. It required breaking the chains of fate imposed by ancient, unknowable powers. The chapter closes with a chilling vision, an omen of ultimate sacrifice and a decision that will define destiny itself. The cosmic war tore at the very heart of the Shadow Realm, a tempest of unimaginable scale. The rift spewed unholy energies, twisting the battlefield into a surreal nightmare where time wavered and reality fractured. In this war between ancient cosmic forces and desperate rebellion, every moment was a battle against oblivion. Beru waded through swirling void storms, his frost-infused blade barely keeping at bay the tendrils of darkness that sought to consume him. Around him, allies fought fiercely, shadow warriors melding with light and dark, hunters weaving mystic traps, and monstrous champions charging with primal fury. Each clash was apocalyptic. Cosmic monsters with dozens of writhing limbs lashed the air, their roars shattering mountains. Berserk forces summoned by the Monarch unleashed chaotic energy fluxes that shattered the earth. Magic flared like supernovas, illuminating twisted landscapes stained by suffering and courage. Amidst this destruction, Beru faced his personal trial, an encounter with an ancient cosmic sentinel, a living relic of the void, whose very presence demanded the sacrifice of spirit and will. Their duel was spiritual and brutal. The Sentinel's void essence threatened to erase Beru's memories, his identity. But Beru's inner resolve and the bonds forged with his allies became a shield stronger than any magic. With a final, blinding strike, Beru shattered the Sentinel, but not without cost. His body was wounded, scarred by void energies that would take time to heal, and his spirit left changed, harder, yet humbled. Back with his allies, Beru's determination only grew. He understood that victory against such cosmic horrors demanded more than force. It called for unity deeper than blood, courage forged in sacrifice, and the breaking of fate's cruel chains. As the shadows regrouped in battered but unbowed formations, Beru revealed a vision he had glimpsed during the trial. A path to sever the Monarch's cosmic ties, a dangerous mission that could either save or doom the Shadow Realm. The chapter closed on a whisper of hope and dread, a decision that would define the fate of all. The plan was as perilous as it was desperate. An elite strike team, led by Beru, would infiltrate the heart of the cosmic rift itself, aiming to sever the Monarch's link to the ancient cosmic force. Failure meant annihilation, success offered the faintest hope for salvation. The journey to the rift's edge was a gauntlet of shifting realities. Space warped around them, stars bleeding and reforming as time fractured in unpredictable waves. The team tread carefully, shadows melting into the strange, flickering mists that threatened to swallow them whole. Guarding the rift were sentinels of raw void power, towering, alien beings who seemed part stone and part living darkness. Their attacks were relentless, bending space and hurling fatal energy bolts that could ripple through multiple dimensions at once. Beru and his comrades fought with desperate precision. Frost met void in a blinding dance as magical energies pierced the fractured landscape. Every narrow victory was hard-earned, every fallen ally a grim reminder of the stakes. As the team reached the rift's core, the Monarch's presence loomed, a shadow overlain by swirling galaxies of cosmic fire, its power radiating like a cold star. The ritual anchoring the Monarch to this cosmic source pulsed with dark resonance, throbbing like the heart of a dying universe. To sever this, Beru would have to confront not just physical enemies, but the very essence of the Monarch's being. The battle climaxed in a terrifying fusion of wills. Beru stretched beyond mortal limits, wielding every shred of power and courage he possessed. His allies fought valiantly to hold back the monstrous guards as he engaged the Monarch's cosmic manifestation. The rift screamed, reality bending as the Monarch and Beru's energies clashed, a war of stars and shadows, destruction and hope. As the ritual faltered and the cosmic chains weakened, the Monarch's howl of rage echoed, shattering peaks and sundering lands. The balance of power shifted, danger lurked in every shattered corner, but so did a newfound chance for freedom. The cosmic chains that bound the Monarch began to fracture, casting a shadow of vulnerability over the once indomitable throne. But with vulnerability came wrath. The Monarch's fury ignited like a tempest, raging across the realms with unrelenting force. The skies darkened, lightning tearing across starless voids as armies amassed under the Monarch's banner. Crimson shadows, monstrous legions, and arcane horrors were unleashed with savage precision to crush the rebellion before it could blossom into true freedom. Beru watched the horizon from a battered hill, the desolation below a grim testament to sacrifices made in battles won and lost. His heart burned with resolve and sorrow, his people's freedom hung on a knife's edge. The war was relentless. Each clash tore through lands once peaceful, staining earth and sky with fire and shadow. Beru led from the front lines, his frost blade a streak of defiance amid the swirling chaos. But the Monarch's power had reached new heights. Commanding ancient artifacts and cosmic magic, the Monarch summoned foes that defied understanding, beings forged from stars' death throes, reality itself bending to their will. Amidst the carnage, Beru's alliances were tested. Old loyalties strained as leaders grappled with fear and hope. Betrayals lurked in the shadows, and trust became a rare commodity. In a desperate gambit, the Monarch unleashed a colossal void dragon, a creature of immense size and terrifying rage, poised to crush the rebellion's strongest fortress. Beru rallied his forces for the siege battle of their lives. The dragon's roars shook mountains, its breath a tornado of void flames. The battle was epic, a symphony of courage, magic, and sheer will. The coalition fought with everything they had. Shadow assassins darted between claws, hunters launched enchanted barrages, and Beru struck decisive blows that echoed like thunder. The battle lasted for days, the earth scorched and skies crackling with energy. In the end, the dragon fell, but the cost was immense, the fortress weakened, and the war far from over. Beru's gaze lifted to the darkened skies. The Monarch's fury could burn bright, but it could not extinguish the fire of rebellion. The battle's aftermath left the fortress in ruins, its walls cracked and scorched, but its spirit unbroken. The realms trembled under the weight of chaos, fractured by the relentless war and the Monarch's unyielding grip. Rivers ran red, forests burned, and the cries of the fallen echoed through desolate valleys. Beru stood amid the devastation, his mind heavy with the cost of freedom. The rebellion had gained ground but at the price of countless lives and shattered lands. Yet, Even in ruin, the coalition's resolve remained firm, united by a vision of a realm reborn. But the fractures ran deeper than battle scars. Political tensions simmered within the coalition's ranks. Some factions pushed for immediate, ruthless action, others advocated caution and rebuilding. Old rivalries threatened to unravel fragile alliances forged in fire. Beru sought to mend these divides through councils and acts of trust, understanding that victory was not only won by sword but by unity. As the coalition rebuilt defenses and healed allies, whispers spread of the monarch's last gambit, a cataclysmic ritual to merge the shadow realm with the cosmic void itself, obliterating all opposition in a final surge of power. The rebellion faced a looming choice: strike now and risk annihilation, or endure and prepare for a decisive battle that would determine the realm's future. In the shadows of fractured lands, Beru's resolve solidified. The coming days would be the crucible of destiny. Tension gripped every soul in the coalition as the day of reckoning dawned. The shadow realm and cosmic void teetered on the brink of unthinkable transformation, a cataclysmic fusion threatening to erase all that Beru and his allies had fought for. The coalition's armies gathered on the plains of the Endless Abyss, a desolate expanse where the very ground pulsed with unstable energy from the merging realms. The sky, swirling with roiling dark clouds and flickers of distant stars, mirrored the turmoil below. Beru stood atop a hill overlooking the vast army, monsters, shadows, and humans united in grim determination. Their faces, scarred and weary, radiated fierce hope. He moved among the soldiers, whispering words of steel and solace. Our fate lies not in fear, but in unity and courage. Today, we stand not just for survival, but for the dawn of a new era. Fight for those who cannot, fight for the light born from our darkest nights. The monarch's forces advanced with nightmarish precision. Legions of crimson shadows and cosmic abominations marched like a living storm, their movements measured and merciless. As the armies clashed, the battlefield erupted into chaos, thunderous clashes of enchanted blades, bursts of primal magic, and roars of titanic beasts filled the air. Beru led the vanguard, his frost-etched sword blazing trails through monstrous ranks. His every move a blend of power and grace, inspiring allies and striking terror into enemies. Key battles unfolded across the plains, shadow assassins cutting through enemy lines under the veil of darkness, hunters opening volleys with enchanted crossbows, and monstrous allies locking horns with towering void beasts. The monarch's cosmic rituals surged, unleashing waves of energy that twisted and scorched the land. Entire battalions were consumed, their screams lost in the cacophony of war. Amidst carnage, Beru faced the monarch himself in the heart of the battlefield, a clash of wills and powers beyond mortal reckoning. Cosmic energy met icy frost, each strike echoing through the realm. The duel was fierce and harrowing, testing every ounce of strength, will, and resolve. The monarch unleashed cataclysmic spells aiming to crush Beru's spirit, but Beru's connection to his allies, the realm, and the essence of rebellion empowered him. As the battle climaxed, Beru channeled the hopes and sacrifices of all who stood against tyranny, delivering a final, shattering strike that broke the monarch's cosmic bond and shattered the dark ritual. The realms trembled, and with a deafening roar, the cosmic void receded, its terrible power sealed once more. With the monarch's cosmic bond severed and the nightmarish ritual broken, a profound silence settled over the battlefield. The once overwhelming forces of darkness dissipated like mist before the morning sun, leaving behind a realm scarred but free. Beru stood amidst the ruins of war, his breath ragged yet steady. Around him, allies tended to wounds, lifted the fallen, and began the arduous task of rebuilding, not only cities and fortresses but trust and hope. The coalition, once a fragile alliance of disparate groups, had crystallized into a unified order, a new shadow realm where freedom was not a whispered dream but a living reality. Councils formed across the lands, blending the wisdom of hunters, monsters, and shadows alike. Laws were crafted to protect all beings, to encourage justice and compassion over tyranny and fear. Beru's leadership, tempered by battle and enlightened by ancient wisdom, set the foundation for this new era. Though scars of conflict remained, both physical and spiritual, they became reminders of resilience and sacrifice. Yet Beru knew vigilance was essential. The nature of power was eternal struggle, and the peace won was a beginning, not an end. One evening, beneath a sky studded with stars free of the cosmic void's shadow, Beru reflected on the journey, from loyal soldier to rebel, exile to leader. The Shadow Realm would never be the same. A new dawn was rising, shaped by unity, courage, and the unyielding spirit of those who dared to resist. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey through the saga of Beru's rebellion, exile, and the battle for the Shadow Realm's future. From the first flickers of doubt to the final, earth-shattering clashes, we witnessed a tale of courage, sacrifice, and hope in the face of overwhelming darkness. If you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to like, share, and comment your favorite moments or thoughts. Your support means the world and helps bring more epic tales like this to life. Stay tuned, because there are many more stories, adventures, and